I just thought like I'm depressed and something needs to change or like I want to end it all. Right. So,
You had suicidal thoughts.
absolutely.
Okay.
Just didn't have the guts to follow through.
Recovery Vow is sponsored by Aggressors Adventure, Posey Funeral Directors, and Craig International, among many other sponsors. Thank you for your support. Blake and Tony Justice, I am so glad that you guys are on the Recovery Vow podcast today. The big reason I invited you guys to come here was because you're married and you're both in recovery. I appreciate you coming on and just being willing to share your story.
Thank you for asking us.
You're very welcome. So what I want to do is kind of just go through what it was like, why you chose to get clean. And we'll start with you. What was it like? You were 16 years old?
16. I think I probably started experimenting around age 14 with alcohol. I don't remember the first time I drank. I do remember the first time I got high. And that was 14 or 15. And it was amazing. I didn't know that like I had some kind of issue, like that I was missing something, but pot sure did fill that void.
Okay.
Yes. So I was like, I am going to do this as much as possible
Every day.
as a teenager, you know?
I loved it. I did it in the morning time. It was amazing.
And I mean, at 15, I mean, you can't really get anything unless you know the right people and whatever. And so it was kind of just weekends. And it quickly progressed for me because, you know, I got sober at 16. So I just
Which is
was
incredible,
like,
by the way.
thank you.
What was the moment of clarity for you at 16 years old when people are really mashing the gas in their addiction that you said, I'm not going to do this?
I was absolutely spiritually empty.
Okay.
And just thought life was just going to suck and it was going to be that way forever. I had no hope. I just felt empty. And I remember distinctively sitting on our front porch and being like, God help. I mean, I was just depressed. I had no true friends. I hated school. I didn't want to be there. Yeah, man. And I was ready for a change, I think.
It's just big that you did that at 16 years old.
Yeah.
I commend you on that.
Yeah. I just couldn't take it anymore.
So
I
it
guess.
was weed mostly or the drinking
No,
too? Okay.
no.
Let's talk about it.
So weed was the beginning.
Uh-huh.
My favorite thing was cocaine.
You were doing cocaine at 15, 14,
Yes.
15, 16 years old?
Yes. Cocaine and ecstasy. But cocaine was my jam.
But how much were you doing in high school?
I don't know. It was funny because I just like memories will pop back in my head like after so many years, right? So like I had this memory of like I had bought some cocaine and I don't know if it was like a school night or something, but I was in my room with a plate, like a dinner plate from the kitchen, just chopping it up and getting it ready for myself, you know.
Did you guys
like,
know each other at all? No. Y'all don't know each other at all?
No.
Nope.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know how often. I think I just did as much as possible.
Were you doing it for what reason? Like to fit in or?
When I started drugs and alcohol, it was to fit in. It was trying to find myself. I felt empty. I felt lost. I was like, well, maybe I could be like these people and be accepted, right?
I felt the same. That's what I was asking.
Yeah. So that's how it started. And then it was like, whoa, like this feels powerful and great.
Yeah.
Like,
Look at me.
Cocaine was like, whoa, like I am Superwoman.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm going to do this as much as I can, you know?
And at 15 or 16 years old, how were you able to access cocaine?
I think
And alcohol.
when you are an alcoholic or an addict, you are going to find like-minded people, right? So it's like, you got a little edge to you. Do you have cigarettes? Yeah, I got a cigarette. Do you do other stuff too? You know what I mean? And you find those people and it's like, oh, and then they're like, have you ever tried this? Well, I know a guy who knows a guy.
And they didn't look at you as like a 15-year-old girl or a 16-year-old girl.
No.
They didn't care about any of that. Yeah.
No. I know I think about now having kids, like, and now, I mean, it's different now, but
Yeah.
back then, like,
It is different now. It's
going
fentanyl
to
and stuff out
houses,
there.
I have no clue who owns this house. We're just here, like,
Same. I bet we were at the same house sometimes.
yeah.
So when you talk about going to these places, did your parents have any idea of these places you're going to?
Absolutely no idea.
No idea of who
No
you're hanging out
idea.
with or anything.
I had a facade of I make good grades. I'm going to go spend the night with so-and-so. And they were like, cool, have fun. See you tomorrow. No clue that we were sneaking out or doing any of that stuff. So
They need to clean up under your bed more often. Get that plate out.
I know. I remember lifting the window up and like jumping out of the window after everybody fell asleep.
You ever go back and tell your parents some of the things you did when you were
I
younger?
have.
Because
It's
I've
been a
told my
while.
mom, and she's like, "There's no way." I'm like, "Mm-hmm."
Yeah. Or putting a towel up underneath the door and smoking a cigarette in my room. Like, how did they not smell it?
They smelt it.
You know?
They just didn't know how to handle it, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you decided to get sober in the year 2000, right before Y2K, and the whole world shut down. What was the next few years like? How did you begin and work
man.
a program?
So I had no clue alcohol or drugs were my problem. I just thought like I'm depressed and something needs to change or like I want to end it all. Right. So
You had suicidal thoughts.
absolutely.
Okay.
Just didn't have the guts to follow through. And I asked God for help that night, and a few things happened, and I was sitting at a treatment place that used to be here, Insight, and talking to the counselors who had gotten sober themselves. And I was like, wow, like they speak my language. Like he knows what I'm talking about when I say how I feel. And so they were like, hey, we offer this intensive outpatient program. If you want to sign up and do that, I was like, yes, please. Because I was like, something's got to give. And so I just ran with it. And I learned what recovery meant. I watched other people, things that I feel like I probably should have learned growing up, right? I learned like, hey, don't steal money from people.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like, just be a good person, be
Yeah.
honest. Like,
Do you remember what rock bottom was? And I guess suicide is kind of rock bottom.
yeah, I mean, it was kind of a couple of things. I don't know. Like I was sick. I think I had like acute sinusitis all the time. Well, of course, I'm snorting cocaine all the time, right? So, I was sick a lot. I was in Beach Island at a house I had no business being at. Snorting cocaine off an ironing board. You know what I mean? All
Yeah.
those pretty pictures. And
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we hung up the same picture.
yeah, come home and my mom was not home. Like she was out looking for me. It was a school night. I was past my curfew. She came home. She was like, your phone privileges are taken away. This was like before cell phones, right? So
Yeah,
it's
there was
like,
no smartphones yet.
I had like my own phone line in my room. Like that was the cool thing, right? So
Mm-hmm.
she was like, we're disconnecting it. Your pager, give me your pager. So
Pager.
that was kind of like my rock bottom, I guess. And I was like, fine, I don't care.
He
you
took
know?
my Bailey's pager
Yeah.
away.
Like, fine, take it all. I don't care about anything anymore. I don't want to live, all that stuff. So
How about my man Tony?
I don't know, start at the beginning or
You can start it, if you remember the day you were born and go from there.
well, I've got a different jam than her. Alcohol was always my thing.
Okay.
Started off normal, high school, middle school.
You feel like it was 13, 14, 15? I asked that to
Yeah.
everybody.
and it seems like that's the age.
That's the age.
and I don't think
Especially
it's,
for dudes.
I don't think it was hardcore. I don't know what's hardcore.
I would say drinking to get drunk, and doing it.
I remember the first time that
Who socially drinks in high school? Like, you know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, we don't have a couple and say, hey, I got to go to school tomorrow. See,
You got a business meeting to go to tomorrow.
The taste of it, I really didn't care for. The feeling, I absolutely did.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I blacked out, and I was young. I was probably maybe 10 or 11.
Your first blackout?
Yeah.
Okay, that's young.
I was hanging with my brothers, and my oldest brother was in the Navy, and we had a get together at his apartment, and we were funneling. That was the first time I funneled a beer too, and I got ripped. And I remember I woke up in the laundry room, and I didn't feel bad other than still kind of woozy, and I was like, "That's pretty neat." And
Neat.
yeah. But after that, through high school, I guess what I thought was normal, we'd hang out on the weekends, drink,
Yeah.
we would drink to get drunk. I mean,
Where did you grow up at?
all over.
Okay.
I was born in Virginia,
All right.
but with Dad's job, we moved around. He could have a contract for 6 months. It could be 6 years.
Before we get back to this episode, I want to take a second and thank the team at Coleman Construction. Tim, you and the whole team do a phenomenal job, and I'm so thankful for your sponsorship of the Recovery Valve podcast.
There was a school shooting in '98.
This was before Columbine?
Yes.
Yes, which is I don't like because it didn't get what Columbine got.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a prayer circle, and he went in there. They'd have a prayer circle every morning in the foyer, and
This was your school.
I was a senior that year. Yep.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You moved around a lot, so you really didn't have time to make genuine, true friends.
It's cool now because people I quote grew up with. I know people from all over.
Yeah.
But at the time, yeah, I mean, you become good friends, but then
Move.
got to move. And you never knew you were going to move.
Did you have a moment where you knew that you were in addiction pretty deep and you had hit rock bottom?
Before the military, no.
Oh, I know you were military.
Mm-hmm.
What branch?
Marine Corps.
Okay.
But up until leaving, I mean, I drank. I mean, we partied.
Mm-hmm.
I started college immediately. Dad wanted one of his sons to go to college, and my two older brothers didn't go, so that kind of
Yeah. It's on you, Tony.
that's it. So, but I didn't have any interest. I mean,
How heavy were you drinking at this point?
pretty heavy.
Every day, every morning?
I think I smoked in the mornings,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, pretty much every evening.
So as you moved through, you went through military, you did how many years?
4.
I mean, I guess is it okay to say that you were in
Yeah.
full-blown addiction
Yeah.
through the military and
Well,
then
yeah,
into work?
military. It wasn't necessarily a problem because Marine Corps too. I mean, it's work hard, play hard.
Oh, I
And,
bet.
I'd got the trouble I got in there was being underage. It didn't matter even if you were of age. If you're in the barracks, we couldn't have alcohol in there, and always getting caught. Somebody's ratting me out, which is I thought was crappy, but.
You look back now, though, they probably want the best for you.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think people saw a problem. Like, dang, I mean, yeah, he's good when he's at work, but
Did anybody ever ask either one of you guys if you were an addict or an alcoholic?
That was not verbiage that the people I hung out with said.
Yeah.
I thought what I was doing was normal because everyone else around me was doing it.
Yeah.
I don't think somebody asked me. I think people told me.
That you were?
Like, like
I just, the only reason I asked that is somebody asked me that, and that was the second time I tried to hurt myself, was whenever I thought somebody had figured me out.
well, I got mad. Like, if I saw somebody go to the store and get like a 6-pack, I'm like, why can't I do that? I can do that, but I can't. I couldn't.
You go back and get more, or you got to start
Yeah,
out
that's
with way
right.
more than that.
Yeah, no, I would go and like when 30 packs became a thing, I'm like 30 pack, I'm gonna get it all, and that way I don't have to leave. No DUIs,
Did you ever
Next
have a
thing-
DUI?
I did.
How
Yep.
many? One.
One. Yep.
But let's fast forward. You went through treatment. Did you go through a treatment?
I did.
Where did you go to treatment at?
It's called Hebron Colony Ministries.
Okay.
It's up
Where
in
is
the
that?
mountains.
Mountains. Sounds like it would be. How long was that process? Like 30-day, or did you stay there longer?
I want to say 16 weeks. There was other stuff, I would get like public intoxications, things like that. So like AA to me never meant anything to me because courts would say, hey, you
Make
need
him
to,
go,
that's
yeah.
okay. And then I always, and it's probably all in my head, but I felt like people were judging me and they're like, he's just here getting his paper signed, and I really didn't care. I didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
So if you were in there, you were on a different mission than me. I'm here to get through this and then get back out, have the courts off me so I can get back to drink.
Yeah.
I didn't.
You already had it planned out.
Yeah.
So you stayed clean after that visit to that place.
Yep.
That's good. You two, how did y'all meet?
Match.com.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
I was at a point, Eric, I was like, I mean, where do people meet people? You know what I mean?
I did the same thing.
So like,
I met my first wife on Match.com.
yeah. So like in your 30s, I'm like, I don't drink, right? So I'm not going out to bars or clubs. So where am I going to, very few and far between are other people in recovery as long as me, right? At my age.
Right.
So I went to Match.com and I had a friend and she was like, I was very specific on my profile to weed all of the crazies.
I mean, like in your profiles, like I didn't know she was like in recovery. And
Right.
She didn't know, I guess, that I was. Well, I know she didn't. It was just kind of like, do you drink? Yes or no, kind of thing. So I think the first time she had texted me, we had talked on the phone already, but she said, hey, I don't remember if I told you, but I'm in AA. And I lit up. I was like, yeah. And then, so I was like, hey, I used to drink, thinking she might be like, oh, cool. Well, no, that threw up a red flag. And I was like, dang.
I'm talking to my sponsor. I'm like, I mean, he doesn't go to AA, but he says he doesn't drink. So I don't know if that means he's okay. Is he okay to date? I don't know. And she was like, lots of people get sober differently than you. It's okay.
That's true. I'm glad your sponsor told you that.
Yeah.
That's because,
I'm glad she told you that.
yeah. I know, right?
know?
Because, not everybody
It's going to have the
is
same
going to have the same
Yeah.
recovery. I'm so glad to hear you say that. Mine's changed over the years. I started out in AA and I did a 12-step program and I just poured into this relationship I have now with God as I understand him. And, I don't knock any program.
Right.
I think everybody needs to walk through a 12-step process. But, the niche may not be AA. I think that's okay. So you guys met on Match.com. And it was immediate. Like,
Yeah.
I'm in
It was
love. I
pretty-
love you. Let's go out to Applebee's 2 for
It was
20.
pretty,
Or
it was pretty immediate.
what was the first date?
Where did we went? It was the Snug. It's not there anymore,
Oh, I remember this.
I think it was the Snug, right?
Yep.
We went to the Snug. And I laid it out too. I was like, I'm 33 and these are the things I want in life. So if you're not okay with that, then
What were they? Like married within the next year?
married,
Kids?
not leave this area, stay at home with my kids when I have them.
Well, we talked about kids immediately because, I mean,
I feel like when you date at that age, it's kind of like,
yeah.
It's got to be part of the conversation because a lot of
If
times
she
when you date
didn't
at
want
that age,
kids,
they have kids.
I've
Yes,
always wanted
yes.
kids.
Yeah.
Always wanted
Yes.
kids. So that would be,
well, and I needed to know, are you on board? Is that something you want one day?
if she didn't
You
want
know,
kids,
Yeah.
it wouldn't work. Because
So y'all had that conversation on the first date?
Like, yeah.
Good for you.
I was just old. I just felt
Oh,
like that.
I know. I know. So how long did y'all date before you popped the question, Tony?
things moved along pretty quick. I had, I guess, it's obviously a goal, but I knew with Blake, and I was like, has to be God's work. Why somebody my age, never married, no kids, wants kids,
Unicorn.
same
Sober.
thing,
Yeah.
sober. I mean, it seems right, and I was, that membership was almost done, and then we
I
started
came
talking.
across your feed.
Yeah. I was like, this is there's a catch. There's a catch. And then I didn't realize she worked shift out at
Oh, yeah.
SRS, right? And so we were talking a few times back and forth and then nothing. I was pissed. I was like,
What happened? Why'd you ghost him?
because I didn't. Okay, so I worked in a high secure area,
Yeah.
and I could not have any electronics, phone, whatever.
Gotcha.
So I mean, I'd go dark for 12 hours, and I
I
couldn't
got it.
respond to him, because
Yeah.
I'm at work. So yeah,
and then I think I even have the message still. I have a couple, but I remember it and it was like, hey, sorry. And then she explained kind of, I was so relieved. I was like, man, are you? And then I was like, maybe her pictures don't look, you know what I mean?
You didn't
My
define
mind
this
will
whole
always
thing in
go
your
to
head.
worst case scenario.
Same.
Because I've been burned mainly by my own self throughout my life that it always goes worst case.
Yeah, I'm the same way. 12 hours is a long time to not be able to talk.
yep.
You didn't answer my question, though. How long did y'all date before you popped the question?
8 months.
It's fine. Same. I married.
8 months.
I asked Kristen to marry me 8 months into it. It's a big conversation to have. Like I remember telling her, I'm in recovery, and this is what it means. But when you're both, in it, this is what it means. This is like you now. I performed your wedding. How long ago has that been now?
6 years. Yeah,
Yeah. 6 years has flown by. You guys have 2 kids now.
2 kids, 5.5 and almost 3,
Boy and a girl?
boy and a girl.
Could you ask for anything better?
No. And that's what it's like 16 getting sober to imagine this.
Mm-hmm.
Like I actually have it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I couldn't even fathom that at 16,
Yeah.
you know?
I
So-
think about like my past, and I think I might have wrote it down. I think you can get stuck in your past. At least I can.
Yeah.
So I learned a little, a while ago. I don't dwell in the past. I can't forget it. And maybe in conversation somebody might, would you do this different? Would you do? A short answer would be no, I wouldn't change it, because if everything didn't happen, I wouldn't be who I am today. We wouldn't.
We wouldn't have met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for Match.com and sobriety. Mm-hmm. How about if you were going to talk to the married couple out there that is in recovery,
Mm-hmm.
what's been the best thing in your marriage that recovery's helped to make stronger, keep stronger, however you would want to word it?
Communicate. Communication, I would say, for me.
You're not scared to share anything.
No, absolutely not.
That's
Nope.
good.
Good, bad, ugly. We're talking about it. We're figuring out a solution.
Do you feel like one day when your kids are old enough, you'll tell them about your past?
I think so.
You think that's helpful?
I tell my 5-year-old, I'm like, I'll see you in a little bit. I'm going to a meeting. He doesn't know what that meeting is. And I've taken them with me.
Really?
They don't know. They just put their little headphones on and play on their iPad. You know what I mean?
Just like anything else. Yeah.
yeah.
I
But
think that's great.
I'm good with answering whatever questions they have.
I've always wanted kids.
Yeah.
I didn't want my kids to have what I had or had, or
Yeah.
however you want to word that. Because I think anybody that knows me knows alcohol kind of ran in the family. So does it? I don't know. I don't know if it's in somebody's blood. Even everything that I've been through and everything that I've experienced, I still don't know if that's the answer.
I think it is. I think that's okay too.
I think it might be you more apt to it.
I'm scared to say that sometimes too because I'm afraid my dad or my mom might hear this podcast, and they
Well,
probably listen. But I don't want them to feel ashamed
No.
at all because I don't blame them for anything.
No, and me and my father have talked about it. I always mention Dad because we lost Mom in '87, so I'm sure that affected. I'm not sure. I know
His
it
life.
affected
Yeah.
Sure.
all of our lives.
Did he ever remarry?
He did years later.
Yeah.
Yep, and they've been married I think 25 plus years.
That's good.
Yep.
Yeah, it's hard to be mom and dad.
And I mean, Dad was, and he worked. He's always Dad's a worker. And we've talked about it. He's like, I don't know if, I raised y'all exactly how you should have been. I don't think somebody could have done a better job than what Dad did, especially raising 3 Justice boys. Because I promise you, we did not
tore
make
it
it
up.
Oh yeah, yep.
You need to call and tell your dad you love him when you get done here.
Well, when Cole was born, unfortunately, Dad was overseas working. And that immediate love, I loved him in the womb, of course, but like
Holding a
seeing,
baby for the
you
first time.
Oh, I
were
know.
witnessing the whole thing with your wife and your firstborn and lack of sleep. So emotional, of course, but I just wanted to call Dad and I wish he was there to tell him I love him. And I'm sorry. Because like the love for a child
Yeah, I get it.
and then some of the stuff that we put him through, man, and some
Oh,
of the
I know.
things I said to him.
I remember when I first got clean, and I was 9 months into recovery when my wife and I separated, and under severe circumstances, and it worked out the way it was supposed to. Cameron and Christian came to live with me, and they've been with me. And we used to ride by Harvard's liquor store on the way to home or to his mom's or something like that. And Cameron would say, "Oh, Daddy, you don't need to stop at your store." Because it didn't even know it was a liquor store. He thought it was just like the place where I went and got whatever. But it had went in his mind.
Yeah.
Now, he doesn't know that now. But he was 5.
Yep.
5 or 6 years old. They're smart.
They
And
pay attention. Yeah.
oh, yeah, for sure. But I was ashamed in that moment. And I was also thankful that I didn't turn right. Because I could have turned in there.
Yeah.
It could have been a moment where he's like, "Oh, we're going back to Daddy's store," but it wasn't. It was, oh, we're not going to your store, and I was like, no. I was able to say no, we're not. And I love them like unconditionally. Like we went through a lot, but we were supposed to. And so that's why I was asking, like, do you share that with your kids? Because I share my past with my kids. One, because I see my young self in them. Not saying that I'm putting that curse on them, like, this is how you are, you crazy boys.
Yeah.
And then their sister was born. You got a daughter. Oh my God. It's just another
How
level.
old is she? 6?
6 years old.
Yeah, that's what I
and
thought.
I love all 3 of them, but there's something about having a daughter.
There it is.
It's just different.
It is very.
Now, I love them boys, and they know how much I love them, but there's just something about that little girl. Y'all ready for your rapid, well, not rapid fire questions. I got questions I want to ask you real quick.
Oh, on the spot. Here we go.
Yeah. Now, I do have some rapid fire ones, but I'm not going to ask these. I'm going to ask you 3 questions.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you first.
Okay.
And then, Tony, I'm going to come to you. You can answer as quick as you want and make it as fun as you want, but be honest. If it's your husband, it's your husband.
Scaring me right now.
Okay. You ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
If you were in a room with everyone you have ever met in your life, who would you look for?
Mom.
Mama? Okay. If you had the chance to relive one day in your life, what day would it be?
Our wedding.
That was a good day. I was there for that.
It was.
It
That
was
was a
fun.
really fun day.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that picture again. Who would you say you are? The voice in your head or the one who hears it?
Oh, man.
Deep, right?
That's deep.
I saw these on TikTok. I'm like,
It's
done.
deep
Okay.
because I know her mind too.
Yeah, Mama's not a good neighborhood. So the voice in my head or the one that hears it. I'm going to say the one that hears it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. That's real good. You ready? All right. I'm going to ask you some different ones. No, I'm not going to ask you the
Switch
same
it
ones.
up.
I'm going to ask you
You
the
had
same
time
ones.
to think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you were in a room with everyone you have ever met, who would you look for?
Absolutely, Mom.
Mom. And you lost your mom in 87, you said? Okay. If you had the chance to relive one day in your life, which day would it be?
Just one day.
That's all it said on TikTok.
Don't overthink it.
Well, I want to say the birth of our kids, but I
That's
mean,
perfect.
Yeah.
That's a great day. Who would you say you are? The voice in your head or the one who hears it?
the one who hears it.
That's good. Yeah.
Thank
Whenever-
goodness.
Yeah, right?
I know.
Right.
Yep.
Selfish plug. Marriage
Yeah.
After Addiction is written to the spouse, but since you both are the supporting spouse of each other, it's about transition, right? So when I got out, if me and my first wife had this, it may have helped our marriage. It's not written to save a marriage. It's just written to be an AFLAC policy of supplemental. This is just some steps to take. So I would be honored if you guys were to read through it, maybe just give me a review or
Yeah.
not, and just tell me what you think, because I want to know that it works for somebody that's got 4,000 years in recovery or somebody's got 10 years in recovery, and just to see what it brings out. You know, it brings up conversation. But I do want to say thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
coming on the
Yeah,
Recovery
for
Bow
having us.
Thanks for
podcast
having
us.
and
For letting
coming
us
and
do
just
this.
sharing and let people get a peek inside your story. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks.
Appreciate it, buddy. Thank you, friend.
Thanks, Eric.
Hey, thanks for tuning in today's episode of Recovery Bow Podcast. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you would like to connect with us, you can connect with us through email at recoveryvow@gmail.com, our website, recoveryvow.com, or you can find us on our different social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. But we would love for you to go to YouTube and subscribe to our channel. If you would like to pre-order a copy of my book, Marriage After Addiction, Take Back Your Life Together, you can do that through the store at exomarriage.com, or you'll see a link on any of our social media platforms. I look forward to seeing you again very soon. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Recovery Vow Podcast is brought to you by Goldneck, Newsom Electric, S&S Supplies, Carpet Cleaning Pros of Augusta, Rhett Walker, Atlas Health and Wellness, Norval Fixture and Equipment, Augusta Lawn and Turf, Augusta Dream Center, Bagwell Insurance, Sally Kohler Photography, Burroughs Elijah, Attorney at Law, Communigraphics, Kendra Neal Studio, Kendrick Paint and Body, Coleman Construction, Augusta Magazine, Corbin Jones State Farm, Game Changers, Tree Guys with Ties, Penn Roofing, Aggressors Adventure, Posey Funeral Directors, Craig International.
And I want to say thanks to everyone else who's contributed to the Recovery Valve podcast. We couldn't do this without you.